So several weeks ago when I published a video saying I wasn't really sure where the future of this channel was, it really just only took about 3 weeks before somebody sent me a video and said, hey, tell me what you think of this. And I could have just answered him and then moved on with my life, but that's the thing is I have a drive to expose people that present stupid stuff. And that really is the answer. I had somebody ask me, why are you shooting down everybody's ideas? And the answer is because they're stupid. Every time somebody has ever come up with a way that they wanted to serve God, not serve God, worship God, it's always been a dumb idea. Let me give you a couple of examples. One from the Old Testament, one from the New Testament. So the Old Testament, there's an 80-year-old man with a stick goes into Egypt and says, hey, let my people go. And there's a back and forth there. And eventually Pharaoh is reluctantly willing to comply with his request. And so he leads millions of people out of Egypt, out to Mount Sinai. To which this 80-year-old guy goes up the mountain to have a conversation with God. And Aaron decides, I got an idea. Right off the bat, you should know it's stupid. Let's build a golden calf and have a feast for the Lord. And of course, that did not go over well. Fast forward, 1,500 years or so? The disciples are with Yeshua. They're in the north end of Israel, and they're approaching a Feast of Tabernacles. And so there's an event that we call the Transfiguration, where the disciples see Yeshua, Moses, and Elijah basically having a meeting. And they come up with an idea. You think it's good? No, it's not good. And they say, hey, why don't we make tabernacles for all three of you guys? And this is where God has to stop what he is doing and yell from heaven down to the earth, hey, this is my son. How about you listen to him? And they were a little shaken up by that, but I probably would be too if the voice from the skies said, hey, you're doing this, do this. Because if somebody tells you that, your idea is dumb. And so that's what I want to present, as in every time that the humans get involved in their ideas of how they want to worship God, they're going to be stupid. I mean, we could just fast forward to what we do in modern times. Somebody thought it was a brilliant idea to take a witch's Sabbath, even though we're just going to ignore what Deuteronomy chapter 12 has to say, and we're going to drag a tree into our house, we're going to decorate it with lights and balls and put presents underneath it. We're going to just call it his birthday, even though everybody knows that's a lie. So, yeah. We come up with dumb ideas when it comes to how, because God's already told us this is what I want you to do. And people over the years have said, well, wait, what if we do it this way? And it doesn't work out well. But you can find other examples throughout the Bible. I just wanted to throw a couple of them out there. So now that we got that out of the way, I figure the foundational thing of her basically timing of the tribulation, because we're not going to say the rapture, although that's what she's alluding to. So I find that disingenuous. But anyway, the tribulation beginning on April 8th. Let's look at something else that she's teaching. She has decided that the Jubilee years are not 50 years, but 49 years. And that 50th year is the first year. Even though it's not denoted as that, that's what she's teaching. And she has to do this because it helps her math fit. Because if you do it the way that traditional rabbinic Judaism has always done it, it's not going to fit. The thing is, it contradicts rabbinic Judaism, and it also contradicts Leviticus 25. Leviticus 25 makes it very clear. 6 years you sow and you reap. 7th year, you let the land rest. And so then we move down to a Jubilee year. Once you get to the 49th year, the next year is the 50th year. It doesn't say the next year is the first year of the next 49th cycle. It says the next year is the 50th year. Why would you call it the 50th year if it's the first year of the... But okay, fine. But here's the thing. It is also a year of rest. Well, if it's the first year of the next 6 years or 7 year cycle, but the next 6 years that you can plant and reap, then how is it that that is a Sabbath year? So it already contradicts the first part of it, Leviticus 25. Plus, if you move down the page a little bit, the question's asked, well, what are we going to eat? I think that's a valid question. And so God tells him, I'm going to make sure that you get enough for 3 years. Why 3? After all, the passage is really only focusing on the essentially the Shemitah years, the Sabbath rest years. So you'll harvest enough in that 6th year for 3 years. Why not 2? If it's just a 49-year cycle, you only need enough for 2 by the time you get into the first year of the next cycle. Unless there just happens to be one of the years where there's 2 years that you're not planting, and so you need enough to take you from that 6th year all the way out to that 9th year until that harvest comes in, so that you have enough for 3 years. So yeah, so what she's teaching is wrong. And I think that there has to be a level of intellectual dishonesty. When people come up with these timelines, they have to come across this stuff. They have to, wait a minute, this doesn't fit, but maybe they just don't care. And that's really, are we worshiping God by doing that? Those that worship in spirit and truth. Is she teaching the truth? No, then that's not worship unto God. And so therefore, it's really about her self-seeking needs, whatever, attention. I don't know what it is. But anyway, here's a little bit more that's going to kill her timeline. I'm going to take you to the Mishnah real fast. Let's see here. How does this work again? It's been so long since I used it. And I'm just waiting for it to freeze. It's Screencast-O-Matic. They used to, anyway. Jewish people counted 17 Jubilee years from the time they entered until they departed. The year they departed, when the temple was destroyed the first time, was the year following the sabbatical year and the 36th year in the Jubilee cycle. Interesting. Let's just bring out the little calculator here and see what that brings us to. So this also goes along with Ezekiel chapter 40, because he says, in the 25th year of our captivity, at the beginning of the year, on the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after the city was captured. So this is essentially basically saying they're in a Jubilee year because they started the year on the 10th day, which you can see in Leviticus 25 when it comes to a Jubilee year. But he's also giving you this another little piece of information in the 14th year. Well, if they're in the 36th year and you add 14 to it, then that takes you to the 18th Jubilee, because that'll take you up to a 50-year Jubilee cycle. So, okay, let's just plug this in, because we know when this actually took place here in Ezekiel chapter 40, some people say 573 BC. I've seen some say 574 BC. Both are close enough for what we need. So I'll just use 574 just for the time being. 574, if we go 18 Jubilees, that's 900 years plus 900 years equals, that's not 1406. So, what do we do with that? Here's the other thing that I find very interesting about this is, why not just use 50 years? Why not just use what has traditionally been used? If you go to Torah calendar, they break it up. They show you the Shemitah years and the Jubilee years and all that kind of stuff, and you can click on it. Why don't we just use that? Because I'm curious. So let's say minus 574 BC plus we need 52 Jubilees to get us pretty close to where we are today, which is 2,600 years. So plus 2,600 equals, now we have to add 1 year because there is no 0 year. So whatever number we get, we have to add 1. Equals plus 1. That brings us to 2027. So why wouldn't they use that? After all, I mean, that's only a couple of years away, right? Yeah. Now here's the thing about using the Jubilee. It's speculation at best. it's one thing to look at it and say that's interesting that if we just come out 2,600 years or 52 jubilees from the jubilee that we see in Ezekiel chapter 40, that brings us into a very close time frame as to where we are. But I wouldn't be foolish enough to say 2027 is the year of the rapture. Maybe you buffer it with a little bit of a window around it, just simply because some say 573, 574. But the reason I wouldn't say that is because using the Jubilee to try to figure out when the rapture is speculation. There's nothing that really ties the two together. Plus, if you do study what the Jubilee is and the fulfillment of that in Leviticus 25, that is the great trump. So Paul spoke of the last trumpet. This is the great trumpet, the shofar hagadol that we see in Matthew 24:31, which happens, if you read Matthew 24, after the tribulation. So the fulfillment of it would be you'd be off by 7 years. So if 2027 is the fulfillment of that, then well, we're 5 years into the tribulation at that point. So that's the thing is when I study this stuff, and it's not like I'm looking for the rapture. It's because I'm looking at what people are saying, what people are presenting online, and I'm like, well, you got a problem with that. And again, that's just I guess what I do. And so people get upset with me. They say things like, why you got to shoot down their ideas? Because they don't fit. Because if you're a worshiper of God, then he said that there would be a time, and it is now, that you will worship in spirit and in truth. So are they teaching the truth? No. Now we could even go back to, and I'll just throw this out there for you because I know it's already going to be a mess, but I have built a timeline that says the cross took place in 27 AD. It's the spring of 27 AD. Does that fit with this whole thing? Well, obviously that's what is it, 40 jubilees from 27 AD to 27 AD? And then there's the speculation because in the spring when he started his ministry, he read from the book of Isaiah and proclaimed the acceptable year of the Lord. So again, it's speculation. It's not a hard, fast thing. And I just want people to see that so that they can, I don't know, because I know they want the attention. So go question them. Like, hey, what about this? What about the 17 Jubilee cycles that obviously it doesn't fit your whole timeline or anything like that? And it's even worse if you use 49 years. I mean, I guess we could do, let's not do it. Who cares? What I want people to see is I worked very hard when I first started this channel. I had a strategy, I wanted to use the hype of not only the rapture, because if I make any video and I say the rapture, it's going to get views, but also the Revelation 12 alignment that was going to take place on September 23rd, 2017. And even back then, I was getting people saying, "Oh, you said that rapture was going to take place on September 23rd," and I'm like, "No, I never said that." I was very careful, and I want to show you the back end of my channel real fast, just so that I want you to see the strategy that I employed, because I was trying to get ahead of all this stuff, and then I realized it doesn't matter how hard I try to get ahead of it, I'm not going to get ahead of it. People are going to be hype driven, and I just no longer have the energy to do that. So here's the back end of my channel. Like I said, everything's just set to private for the time being. And I want you to see, like down here, I'm only getting 1,000 views, 2,000, 6,000 views. It fluctuated, up here, 4,400 views, whatever. And then all of a sudden, I've got this one that's got almost 17,000 views. So I know people saw this. What is the title? The rapture isn't on September 23rd, 2017. Kind of a weird title to have for somebody that said the rapture was going to be on September 23rd, 2017. And again, it goes back to they weren't paying attention. So nearly 17,000 people saw this, and this was about a week before the alignment. And so just in that video, I said this. And I'm using this as an example, but I'm going to say I get the exact same mess
from people. They are telling me there will be no rapture on the 23rd of September. I get that over and over and over. I'm going to tell you this, guys. I agree with them 100%. The rapture is not the 23rd of September. So, first off, I want to address the agreement that I have. September 23rd is not the rapture. Absolutely right.
I gotta say, YouTube has really aged me. When I first moved out here, I was on the Las Vegas Strip and I went into CVS or a Walgreens to get a little box wine. It's just something I did to relax and see all the lights and people watch and stuff like that. And I walked in and she was like, "I need to see your ID." And I gave it to her. She goes, "I'm taking this from you. You're not 21. And I'm like, why would I fake 40? If I'm not 21, why would it say 40 on there? Or 41 or whatever it was. And so, yeah, I just, yeah, sometime after that, and I finally started getting a little, but anyway, that's not the point. So anyway, back to my strategy that I had. So the next video, because I saw the momentum of this video, so September 16th, 2017, I did another vlog. Feast of Trumpets moved to Atonement on a Jubilee year. Why did I do this video? Because I knew that we would get to September 23rd, and what would happen is people would say, well, okay, we've missed something. What do we need to do? And so they go back, they see the trumpet in Leviticus 25, and they're like, oh, what if this is a Jubilee year? What if the rapture's not until Atonement, and we were off by like 10 days? Or, maybe that's what this... So I made that video so that people wouldn't, fall for that. Because I knew people were going to make videos, and they did. They made a lot of videos. I think I even tagged some of the videos, and they disappeared and all that kind of stuff. But it's really interesting to see how people essentially rewrite history. I mean, even when I was sitting there just scrolling through this, and you can see, latest updates to my testimony, part 3, and I got a picture of wedding rings because on a few occasions that month leading up to September 23rd, I was reminding people that, hey, God showed me that I was going to be married, and that has not happened yet. And I know people paid attention to that because I still get messages or emails or comments asking, like, hey, are you married yet? And, well, let me say this. No. But I am in potential negotiations with a young lady, so yeah. We're trying to figure out how to negotiate this because we're kind of worlds apart, but we've been friends for a few years, and so yeah. I don't know what more to say about that, but it does appear that the person that I met, and of course when I go back to my dream, there was some nonsense that went on that I was just like, oh, that fits the back part of my dream. So for the past 3 years or so, I've suspected that this individual might be the woman that God showed me, and so I guess I'll just kind of leave it at that for the time being, and I guess we'll just see what happens from there. It's really hard for me to, because the word says, delight yourself in the Lord, He'll give you the desires of your heart. And I have that. I've always wanted to live in the desert. Oh, look, I live in the desert. And I always wanted a decent Jeep. I love the CJ7s, but they put a lot of light duty parts in them, and so you have to kind of build it so that you don't take it out on the trails and break it. And so I was able to buy essentially exactly what I wanted, and I've gone to so many gold mines and out here and seen ghost towns and stuff like that. And so I even down to the solar. As much as I'm against corporate solar, as it were, especially government-driven solar. I have the 9 panels that you see in that video that I posted like in 2011 or 2012 it would be, I believe. And all that is on my house, and it provides 30% of my electrical needs. Matter of fact, when I was growing my ghost peppers and my Carolina Reaper peppers, I was not spending extra money to run 8 grow lights, which would be about 800 watts of power plus the fans and etc. associated with that. that the power was being generated by the sun, by the expensive solar. But it's also a freedom thing for me. If we have a power outage, well, I don't have a power outage. I may not have heat, but I do have emergency ways of producing heat, whether it be to keep this place warm or to make food or whatever it is. So yeah, because this house is entirely electric, and I do have tanks of propane ready to go in case. And then I've got a backup to that, where I've got a heater that will run on diesel or even sticks and twigs and stuff like that. So yeah, I was a prepper before prepper was even cool. Now it's anyway. So yeah, I really didn't plan on getting into that part of my life in this video, but I get enough people that ask because they've been interested in seeing if there is a fulfillment to that dream that I had 24 years ago, almost 24 years ago at this point. And so yeah, we'll see how this works out. So I should probably stop talking now.